For this month, we have been, and we will be, working with the book that Eric Butterworth wrote back in the 80s, Spiritual Economics, The Prosperity Process. It's a classic in the Word, and obviously the title of it indicates that it is about the spiritual realm, spiritual economics. In our teaching, we emphasize the fact that everything gets created twice. First, in that unseen spiritual realm. Secondly, in the physical realm. So that source and substance, that unseen realm, is the cause for what the response is. That's why we talk so much about cause and effect. There is a cause that creates it in the unseen realm, and the effect is the result. Walter Starkey used to say cause-effect, because we try to differentiate between the two of them, but they really are one. It's the same energy, just showing up in different ways. And in Butterworth's book, he talks about our physical life being the effect, but that it is actually a result of that unseen realm, which is our thoughts and our associated feelings. That's how we can recognize how we are creating our lives. That's why we're so mindful of being mindful of what it is am I thinking, so that I can present and produce and have the effect, the experience, the evidence in my life that I want. It's really about that. Butterworth also talks quite a bit about the example that the master teacher gave us, Jesus the Christ. And Jesus the Christ said, "The Father and I are one." He knew that. I think we all pretty much believe that. He pretty much demonstrated the Father and I are one. But he also said, these things and even greater things than these you can do if you believe. That's the title of our talk this morning. If you can believe. Boy, that's the crux of it, isn't it? We're talking about that word called faith. And faith resides in the unseen realm. That faith and that believing is something that happens before the evidence shows up. So Jesus said, "The Father and I are one, and greater things than these you shall do if you believe." How do we believe that the Father and I are one? I'm talking about each of us individually. How can I, personally, individually, believe that the Father and I are one? Not just Jesus. He wasn't the exception. He was the example. How can I believe that the Father and I are one? Well, number one, big hint, it's much easier to believe that the Father and I are one if, in fact, you believe the Father is within you, rather than off on some distant place looking down at you and judging you. The Father, that essence of creative energy, is literally within each and every one of us. It is love, infinite love, and that's what we are. So we got to accept that. We got to know it. We got to choose it. We have to choose it, yes. By what? By the thoughts we think, by the associated feelings that come with them. Butterworth gives us an excellent definition of the word faith. He calls it a consciousness centered in the universal source. A consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness is your full being. A consciousness centered in universal source. So what we're doing here then is we're placing ourselves, not separate, but one with this source, with this infinite source. How does that make you feel? Huh? If you are one with infinite source, how does that make you feel? Okay, where's your Wonder Woman power stance here? Right? It makes you feel powerful, doesn't it? It makes you feel like I can do anything. And that is the truth, if you believe. This infinite source will give us everything, literally. And the more that we recognize it, the more we're in this flow of infinite being, and we recognize it, and we honor it, and we use it, the more it comes about and reflects and comes into and through our lives. What you focus on multiplies. Do you want to focus on how wonderful you are? How glorious you are? How happy you are? How powerful you are? How prosperous you are? That's a big order to fill, isn't it? Especially when we look around our lives at some things that are there that aren't quite up to that elevated level at this moment in time. When we rely, when we know that there is a substance within me, you see, that is giving me everything I have need of, doesn't that make you feel like secure and at peace and accepting that all is well? Eric Butterworth said that faith is a positive act of turning on something. The power is already within you, for you are the power being projected into visibility as you. The ideal is not believing in, but believing from. Big difference. Believing from. Have the faith not in God, but of God. We have got to recognize our oneship with our source. And it's a mental thing. It's something that we have to at first acknowledge in our mind and in our hearts. And I have to give you a disclaimer. You have to be cautious and recognize that there is this other little element of being a human called the ego. And sometimes that ego will step up and say, yes, I'm just great, aren't I? And that ego is speaking from a separate position. Be aware, know, when you are listening and hearing from that ego, and when you are listening to that still small voice. The still small voice doesn't hit you over the head with a 2x4. It's very much of a diminutive, a quiet, secure, and you know it. There are times when you're just flying high, and then this little tiny little buzz will come in, and you really want to ignore it because your ego is just flying high. And yes, and then something will just give you a little tap. I'm sure that all of you have had those experiences, and you don't really want to recognize it, but do. It is for your highest and best good. A Course in Miracles says, the ego always seeks to divide and separate. The Holy Spirit always seeks to unify and heal. Would you rather be right, or would you rather have a healing? Eric Frederick Emile said, "Whenever consciousness speaks with a divided, uncertain, and disputed voice, it is not yet the voice of God. Descend still deeper into yourself until you hear nothing but a clear and undivided voice, a voice which does away with any doubt and brings with it a persuasion, light, and serenity." That's the voice of God within you. When you know that it is one that is not scolding you, "I should have, if only I," that's not the voice of God. The voice of God within you is always boosting you up, telling you did your best. Let's do better. I wanted to read you this today's reading of the Daily Word. It's amazing how things just fit right into my topic. The word today is guidance, and it begins with, "I walk in faith, guided by my inner light." Striving to express my spirituality while living a human experience, I sometimes find myself praying for guidance. Which path should I take? Which choice should I make? In truth, I never lack guidance. I might not always arrive as a clear and detailed message from on high. I might even find myself called upon to trust and follow my inner intuition, to have faith where doubt may reside. I express that trust by placing one foot in front of the other, moving forward with conviction that my steps are taking me precisely where I need to go. As I walk, I am guided by an inner light that would not have appeared if I simply stood still and waited. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds, and for everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. We need to take the first step. Spirit, God, loving energy, divine source is always, always within us. We are the ones that need to remember and connect. And it takes practice. It takes, oh my gosh, that word, discipline. It takes doing it time and time and time again so that it just becomes an automatic sense of where and how am I hearing this still small voice within me. It's always talking to us. It's always guiding us. Just be open. Ask, and you shall receive. So as you go about this week, you're going to get your homework right now. I want you to go through the process of asking your divine intelligence within you each morning, what is my assignment today? I am open and receptive, dear God, to whatever I am to have need of, whatever I have recognition of. Let me be supple. Let me be open. Let me be teachable to truly having my higher self come forward to be experienced in my life. And what happens when we do that? We have this air of expectancy. Our faith is activated by saying, yeah, this is going to be a great day. Something wonderful is going to happen. And doing that, what actually is an automatic result. When you're happy, when you're just saying yes, how do you feel? Do you feel grateful? Do you feel thankful? Do you feel like, thank you, God? Meister Eckhart probably shocked his colleagues in medieval times when he said, I never give thanks to God for loving me because he can't help himself. Whether he would or not, it is his nature to. It is our nature, truly, to love. And when we love, we give thanks. We're happy. And we have to let it out. We have to let it be known. Our oneness with this God source gives us an overflowing sense of gratitude. And what happens when you're grateful? You have more stuff to be grateful for. Absolutely right. Plato, more than 2,500 years ago, said a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things. A grateful mind is a great mind that eventually attracts to itself great things. Hey, that just pretty much says it in a nutshell, doesn't it? Because when we are expectant, when we have the faith, we are already in the midst of accepting our good. And then we're happy. Yay! It's a good thing. What we're talking about here, truly, literally, because we have this human stuff going on with this, divine energy stuff, is our judgment. Judge with right judgment. The measure that you measured will be measured unto you. So that we want to recognize that, again, this little ego that loves to judge, that loves to compare and contrast and condemn and all of that stuff, recognize when it's speaking up. And allow yourself to know that that is not necessarily the truth. I will judge with right judgment. I have a book that someone gave me for my birthday that I've been working through, and it's written similar in the type of style that A Course in Miracles is, or The Way of Mastery, and it's called I Am the Door. Isn't that a lovely cover? And it's in little snippets, all these little tiny truths, really. And the one I wanted to share with you here is, in your interactions, you have a simple choice: to find each other innocent or to find each other guilty. The choice occurs over and over again, every day, every hour, every moment. Thought by thought, you imprison each other or release each other. And as you choose to treat others, so do you deliver the same judgment upon yourself. What you are looking at, what you're seeing with what you're looking at, it's one and the same. Life truly is giving us what we are putting out. So I'm asking us to be supple, to be teachable. We all aren't up there, with guru, wonderful saints. We're walking our path here, aren't we? It also says in the book that, are you receiving your experience as a blessing or a punishment? That is the question you must constantly ask yourself. All experience happens for one purpose only: to expand your awareness. Okay, bring it on. I am up for it. I am up for expanding the awareness. When I'm looking at my life and I'm looking at all these experiences that I'm having, that's experiencing, and stuff that maybe, how did I call on that? How did that happen to me? Be open and teachable and supple for the lesson in it, for the blessing in it. I came across a poem that I wanted to share with you. One night, I had a wondrous dream. One set of footprints there were seen, the footprints of my precious Lord, and mine were not along the shore. But then some stranger prince appeared, and I asked the Lord, "What have we here?" "Those prints are large and round and neat. But Lord, they are too big for feet." "My child," God said in somber tones, "for miles I carried you alone. I challenged you to walk in faith, but you refused and made me wait. You disobeyed, you would not grow. The walk of faith you would not know. So I got tired. I got fed up. And there I dropped you on your butt." So I could stew and get upset, be the victim and moan. But yet, once I see that I'm okay, and this is just another day in which I can take full control and realize that I am already whole, that love is all around me now, that principle takes over somehow, to know that love is all there is, and accept for me the best there is. I claim my right to glorious health. I open my arms with limitless wealth. I thank my God for all it's done to help me see that we are one. This last thought I'll let you hear if you're still sitting on your rear. There comes a time when one must rise and take a stand, or leave your butt prints in the sand. Know your truth. Get up and walk in faith to the glorious, glorious destination that life, God, love, energy has for you this day. Judge with right judgment. And so it is. Namaste.